Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, your creativity and spiritual life coach. Welcome to another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. And I continue in the series where I share the things that have inspired me on my journey. And this week I'm talking about a TED talk that was given by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor named My Stroke of Insight. And a quote from Dr. Taylor: "We have the power to choose moment by moment who and how we want to be in the world." And before going deeper into the episode, just some quick ways that I can support you. You're listening to Her Inspirations, and I'm inviting you to join the mailing list. The link will be in the show notes below. And each week, as I'm sharing with you in this episode, within the email, you'll get additional teaching points and resources for you to explore deeper on your personal journey. If you're someone who has always wanted to develop and empower their voice, you would love my course, Your Awakened Voice. And this is for you whether you're launching your own podcast, you're showing up more online, you're starting a public speaking career, or you just want to be more vocal in your life. This course uses my holistic approach that's acknowledging the intricate connection between your physical body, mind, and spirit. And if you're ready to enter into a more intimate container with me and work one-to-one, if you know that there's a purpose to your life, my purpose is here to support you. And in particular, I work with women over 40. I help you trust your intuition, rediscover your innate creativity, and use those decades of wisdom to design your purposeful life. Links to everything are in the show notes. So to this week's episode, and another quote from Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. "I live knowing that I am simultaneously as big as the universe and yet merely a heap of stardust." This Inspirations episode is about Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, and she came to my awareness through her TED talk that she called My Stroke of Insight. So who is Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor? She is a Harvard-trained brain scientist, a neuroanatomist, and in 1996, when she was 37, she experienced a severe hemorrhage, AVM, in the left hemisphere of her brain that caused her to lose the ability to walk, talk, read, write, or recall any of her life. And she released a TED talk in 2008 where she told her story and told about the moments and the key messages of her story. This was one of the first TED Talks that I ever remember watching, and also I believe that it was one of the first, if not the first, to go viral. And then as a result, the platform of TED and Dr. Jill then became world famous instantly. And now the numbers around that TED Talk is that it's been viewed over 27.5 million times. Dr. Taylor also wrote a book, her memoir, My Stroke of Insight, documenting her experience with the stroke and her 8-year recovery. And it was also a New York Times nonfiction bestseller. And after I'd seen her talk and heard so much and heard her speak so passionately for just a few minutes, I bought the book as well. Why did her talk interest me so much? I'm not a neuroanatomist, but I do have a fascination with the mind and also with creativity and spirituality, and all of these things tie in. Because during her emotional TED talk, Dr. Taylor was able to detail her experience of the stroke from the point of view as a neuroanatomist. So she was seeing it from the inside as well as experiencing it. So she had this unique perspective. She was able to observe her own brain perception, cognition, and physical abilities, and literally witness her functions shutting down, but be able to name it. One of the quotes from her is, "I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke. And the next thing my brain says to me, wow, this is so cool. How many brain scientists have the opportunity to study their own brain from the inside out?" But it was not just her explanation that captivated the millions of people who wanted to and continue to watch this talk. What she shared, in my opinion, can only be described as a spiritual awakening. And that's what held my attention and then encouraged me to trust in the unexplained experiences that I had Obviously, I've never had a stroke, but there have been moments of heightened awareness that most people would consider that they are crazy or untrue. But especially because this was being told by a scientist, and science and spirituality often seem at complete odds with each other. The way that Dr. Taylor told her story, she was able to show that there's a true connectedness between us, and she could explain it and I suppose corroborate it from a scientific point of view. So her stroke happened in the left hemisphere of her brain, which is associated with logical thinking, language, and self-identity. And as her left hemisphere deteriorated, her right hemisphere, which is connected to creativity, intuition, and a sense of oneness, controlled her perception. A quote from Dr. Taylor again, she said, "The left hemisphere is very interested in language. It communicates in words. It has a past, a present, and a future. It has a time component, and it's all about the details. The right hemisphere is more about the right now, the right here experience, where everything is an enormous collage of all the sensory systems flooding into our brain." During her talk, she talked about how she couldn't define the boundaries of her body because the atoms of her arm blended with the atoms of all around her, and all she was able to feel was energy, and her brain chatter went silent. She was feeling the energy around her. She felt enormous and expansive. Dr. Taylor's experience in the midst of what was a spiritual awakening was her truly recognizing and feeling and knowing herself as spirit, where she felt a deep sense of peace and unity with the universe. And in her words, she felt Nirvana, the immensity of her spirit. And a quote from her is, "I am the life force power of the universe. I am the life force power of the 50 trillion beautiful molecular geniuses that make up my form, as one with all that is." And what I find beautiful about her experience is not just the awakening experience that she explains so eloquently and so passionately, but also the evidence of connection. All the things that she talks about relate to spiritual practices and the concept of being in the present moment. When that happened to her, she still had 8 long years ahead of her where she had to relearn everything she knew. And that in itself is a testament to her determination and her resilience. And in that also she understood and knew and learned about the brain's capacity for healing and neuroplasty. And her insight showed me the importance of patience, of self-compassion, and also what support from loved ones can bring to a healing journey. Her talking about the role of the right hemisphere in creativity emphasizes the importance of nurturing creative expression and how through creativity that can bring us more into our experience and our knowing of ourselves as part of everything. This is why I talk so passionately myself about creativity, and I encourage people to tap into the experience of the right hemisphere by meditating, by finding art that you want to appreciate or play around with, by listening to music, by walking in nature, anything where you can come away from the over explanation and the chatter and the noise and the logic of your left brain. We need it for the times that we need it, but then to be able to lean into that right side and really experience that. Her talk inspired the desire with me to continue my quest for personal growth and transformation. It was showing the potential for profound change when we face our life challenges, and also if we can remind ourselves to maintain open-hearted and open-minded, which is obviously usually the last thing that we want to do when we're in those challenging situations. The question to you is, can you be encouraged to remain mindful and view your own struggles as opportunities for growth and self-discovery? Can you endeavour to stay present through the distraction and the chatter of the world? Can you remind yourself to return to that sense of peace and oneness like she did in the midst of her stroke? Can you bring that into your day? Can you bring meditation, breathing, conscious awareness into your everyday existence? The lessons that I grasped from that TED Talk, and the link to that will be in the show notes, is to embrace your creativity, to deepen your spirituality, and to take on the pursuit of personal growth and have a renewed sense of purpose and understanding, because that's what it underlined for me. It showed me that there is more to this world than we allow ourselves to believe. And oftentimes it's in hearing someone else's testimony that it reminds us that there is a purpose and it's time for us to pause and to explore. I close with another quote from Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. My stroke of insight would be, peace is only a thought away, and all we have to do to access it is to silence the voice of our dominating left mind. Thank you for listening to another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. If you're enjoying this, I'm encouraging you to leave a review and tell me what you're enjoying about this. If you want to find out more about me, my website is carolmaywhittick.com, CarolMaywhittick. You can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, Carol May Whittick, and on Instagram, Casmic, CAZMICK. Until the next episode, take care. Bye-bye.